वैराग्य विद्या निज भक्ति योगा शिक्षार्थमेक पुरुष पुराना श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य शरीर धारी कृपां बुद्धिर्यतमहं प्रपद्ये मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारणम् वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. Warm welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us in the study of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So we continue our study, and just a question came to me just now. So maybe I will ask this question and see if you can have any response for it. So, given a choice to choose between peace and money, what would we like to choose? Any thoughts? Given a choice to choose between peace and money, what would we like to choose?
Peace.
All right. Sounded like a thought response, huh? You had put some time in thinking. Okay, so another question, or same question, say, given a choice to choose between peace and fame, what would we like? What would we choose? Say,
Peace again.
peace again. Wow. Given a choice to choose between peace and followers, having followers, what would we like?
Peace.
Oh. So, similar, given a choice to choose between, say, peace, security, knowledge, happiness, love on one side, and another side, what is it something that we can forego? I mean, can anything we can trade off for peace, security, happiness, knowledge, and love? Is there anything which we can say, okay, take this and give us peace, leave peace behind, leave happiness behind, leave security, leave knowledge, leave love behind, and in place maybe take money, take a house, take a holiday? Do you think there could be anything which we could trade off with peace, love, and happiness, joy, security, knowledge? Any thoughts?
Do you mean to trade for peace or for something else?
Yes, peace in place of something else.
Knowledge probably could do
No,
without.
peace in place of knowledge, peace in place, like keep on one side knowledge, peace, security,
Ah.
happiness, love.
Mm.
Can you sacrifice can you sacrifice your love, peace, knowledge, security, and would you like anything in return, but you would have to give up your peace, knowledge, love, security?
No, I wouldn't want to.
Name, fame, money, adoration, car,
Not
house.
me personally.
Okay. If I have to speak for myself, I cannot trade off. I cannot, yeah, lose whatever peace, whatever, say, love or relish I have in Krishna consciousness. I wouldn't want to as such. So this is the thing. If we, when we go out in books, if we ask any sane person, Are you after peace or money? I mean, I would hardly find someone who would say, any sane man in his sane mind wouldn't say that actually I'm after money. It doesn't matter if I have peace of mind or not. Um, doesn't matter if I get peace or not. I want a house, I want a wife, I want a car, children. And doesn't matter if I'm not happy. Doesn't matter if I'm not secured enough. So this is what Krishna knows us in and out, and this is why Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita. This is the message of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna, this dialogue is to give us real peace. What we are lacking, what we are missing, what is not there to the full scale in our life, to give us real knowledge, to give us real security, to give us real love. And when we go through this dialogue, I mean, a sincere soul should actually fall in love with Krishna, hearing this dialogue between Arjuna and Krishna. And then there can never be any thought that okay, I can trade off my Krishna consciousness, my practice of Krishna consciousness with anything of this world, with anything of this world. So again, this is a subjective thing, this is a personal subjective experience. Practice of Krishna consciousness is out of love. Encouragement is definitely there. Some gentle push is definitely there. Definitely push is required, but it's not like force. So it's not like making someone practice Krishna consciousness by bribing someone that you practice and this will bring you this much money, this will bring you this much name, fame. No, it's not out of that. Or practice so that you will go to heaven and enjoy wine, woman, wealth, and wine in heaven. No, it's not out of that motivation. It's not like out of some bribe, and it's neither out of some fear. Oh, if you don't practice, then you will go to hell. Uh, and no, that's not the motivation. That's not the way Krishna consciousness is uh, passed on. Say Krishna consciousness is introduced to a shad or priest, even because that is not the message. That is not what Krishna is after. So he is kindly giving us what peace, happiness, joy, security. Arjuna was insecure. And later on, Arjuna found security through this dialogue. Arjuna wasn't peaceful. Was he peaceful? No, none at all. None whatsoever. But after this dialogue, very peaceful. Arjuna was lacking knowledge, lacking clarity. After this dialogue, yeah, full knowledge. Arjuna wasn't in love with himself. uh, But after this dialogue, he was in real love with himself. He discovered himself. So, and what Arjuna went through, all of us can go through. Certainly. And this is why Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, so that we can also go through the same experience. We can also have the same realization. Every help, everything is there. There's the initiative or that, yes, like in church weddings, I'm not sure, like from whatever little I've seen in the movies, they say, right? the the priest comes and says, okay, boy and girl, do you take this man to be your husband? And that speech, and the girl, do you take this, sorry, he asked the boy, do you take this girl to be your wife? And the rest of the speech, and they say, yes, I do, yes, I accept. Like if we fill a form, write an agreement or something, yes, I accept. Uh, so that proposal is here, the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, it is here given, and then it is for one to check out, one to practice. One shouldn't shy away, definitely. And it's a gradual process. It's a healthy, loving, gradual process with ups and downs for sure. Arjuna also had some ups and downs, like as he was discussing this Bhagavad Gita with Krishna, which is part of the process, which is healthy. But if this is what, before coming into Krishna consciousness, we all had some experience of peace, love, joy, knowledge in whatever form and shape, perhaps. And through this dialogue, we can see how fickle that peace was, how fickle that love was, how trivial, how fickle, how intangible, unsubstantial that security was, that hope was, that understanding of life was. And we can check for ourselves. what is life now for me. Okay, so with that hope, aspiration, prayer, we continue our study of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So chapter 7, text 29. And always it's highly recommended, encouraged. Any question, thoughts, comments, anything if you would like to say or share. And it's not like that, oh, ask questions, I've got the answer, I will give you the answer. No, that is certainly not the mood. The thing is, questions is good for me to get encouragement in practice of Krishna consciousness. जरामरणमोक्षाय मामाश्रित्य यतन्ति ये ते ब्रह्म तद्विदु कृष्णम् अध्यात्मं कर्म चाखिलम्. If we read translation and then we can read purport in parts, paragraph by paragraph, in turns, sorry, not in parts, in turns. If we read translation, please.
Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities.
You can read one paragraph and then Diksha can read next and all. Yeah.
Perfect. Birth, death, old age, and diseases affect this material body, but not the spiritual body. There is no birth, death, old age, and disease for the spiritual body. So one who attains a spiritual body becomes one of the associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And engages in eternal devotional service is really liberated. Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit. It is said that one should understand that he is Brahman, spirit soul. This Brahman conception of life is also in devotional service, as described in this verse. The pure devotees are transcendentally situated on the Brahman platform, and they know everything about transcendental activities.
Diksha, read this paragraph.
भैया मुझे तो अभी भी पर्पट ही दिख रहा है.
Maybe you continue reading.
4 kinds of impure devotees who engage themselves in the transcendental service of the Lord achieve their respective goals, and by the grace of the Supreme Lord, when they are fully Krishna conscious, they actually enjoy spiritual association with the Supreme Lord. But those who are worshippers of demigods never reach the Supreme Lord in his supreme planet. Even the less intelligent Brahman realized persons cannot reach the supreme planet of Krishna, known as Goloka Vrindavan. Only persons who perform activities in Krishna consciousness, Mam Ashritya, are actually entitled to be called Brahman because they are actually endeavoring to reach the Krishna planet. Such persons have no misgivings about Krishna, and thus they are factually Brahman. Those who are engaged in worshipping the form or arka of the Lord, or who are engaged in meditation on the Lord simply for liberation from material bondage, also know, by the grace of the Lord, the purports of Brahman, Adibhuta, etc., as explained by the Lord in the next chapter.
Shall read translation. Okay, Evie, you read translation.
Translation. Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities.
Yeah. What does refuge mean?
Like protection.
Protection.
Or like yeah, respite. Yeah, refuge, safety,
like shelter.
shelter. Yeah.
So it is an intelligent person. He's an intelligent person who actually takes shelter of Krishna. That's the sign of intelligence. The whole practice of Krishna consciousness is paradoxical. What does paradoxical mean?
It's contradicts itself, basically.
Yes. Yeah, it's like contradictory, or it's like in a way like upside down, right? The other, or what is real. See, material world is what is real is seemingly real, is apparently real, is apparently true, but it's not true in the absolute sense. And spiritual dealings, oh, that is real for absolute. It is not like time, place, circumstance. Some of the principles are very much absolute, like Krishna says, right? Mata parataram nanya, there is no truth higher than superior to me, and all. And also, whatever teaching subject matters being discussed in Bhagavad Gita and Krishna consciousness, they all are at the absolute platform, meaning they are beyond duality. They are beyond duality. They always hold their ground. They always stand truth. They always stand correct. So, paradoxical, the practice, the philosophy of Krishna consciousness is paradoxical in the sense, in society, again, generally, taking someone's shelter is not seen as good. That no, be self-dependent. Be self-dependent. Shall I share the definition of self-dependent? I mean, you all understand anyways. Or would you like to say what is real self-dependence? What is self-dependence? Real self-dependence is complete dependence on Krishna. That means self-dependence, meaning independent, be independent. When we are completely dependent on Krishna, then we are independent. Any thoughts? How can we how by becoming dependent on Krishna we are independent? I think Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, maybe chapter 5, text 7, by taking shelter of Krishna, refuge in Krishna, by becoming fully dependent on Krishna, we become independent, as in independent to the laws of material nature, independent to the modes of material nature. They would still be there. They will, but they wouldn't bother us. They wouldn't shake us up. They wouldn't upset us. They wouldn't affect us as such. So we are independent. Huh? Then we won't be depending on anything material. We won't. That doesn't mean that okay, then I won't I be depending on my landlord for me to be in the house, and I have also have part to pay the rent and all. Thing is, we would be directly then taken care of by Krishna. We wouldn't be taken care of by the material energy of Krishna. Right now we are in the shelter. Everyone in this world has taken a shelter. No one can say that I'm shelterless. But currently our shelter is where? Pretty much on in the material realm. Practicing Krishna consciousness, we regain our shelter in Krishna, in Krishna's internal potency, internal energy. And that is where we find our real strength. Real strength lies in what? First of all, to begin with, self-control, inner peace. So, in clarity, in knowledge lies real strength. And the practice of Krishna consciousness, the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, will give us that real strength, real clarity, that inner peace will naturally come about. Naturally come about. And we may see, oh, so many things will pass through us then, but it wouldn't really shake us up. It shouldn't really shake us up, affect us. And previously, maybe we could have been affected by a sports game, by a political result, by someone saying something to me, or by seeing something, saying something. But now, not so much. Not so much. And eventually, a time has to come. We become so tolerant. We become so tolerant that material nature, material energy may want to poke us by giving up some disturbances, or by luring us with temptations, giving us lots of name, fame, money, comforts, physical comforts, relaxation. But we do not get disturbed, we do not get carried away, we do not get sidetracked. This is the sign of intelligence. You know, a person, his intelligence is known by his self control. How much self control a person has got, that is the sign of his intelligence. Self control means how much tolerant he is, how much peaceful, how much clarity, how much is he in control of his speech. Vacho Vegam, Mansa Vegam, Jiva Krodha Vegam. We know, right, from Nectar of Instruction, that's the first verse Srila Rupa Goswami says. One who has control over the urges of his speech, mind, thoughts, actions, uh, senses, belly, genitals. That's the real intelligent person. That's the real sober person. uh. One who is intelligent is self-realized. One who is sober means he's equivalent to self-realized. In some places, Prabhupada writes in his commentaries uh, on sobriety or intelligence as good as self-realization. So intelligence is shown by one's self-control. And Arjuna was intelligent in the fight. He had real self-control. Why? Because he understood his self in relation with Krishna. He took refuge, shelter in Krishna. Huh? So that ways he had command in life. If we want also command in our life, if we want to be in the control of our life, then yes, take shelter of someone, of that personality who has got everything in control. And who is that personality? Lord Shri Krishna. So that is the sign of intelligent. An intelligent person is one who is active, one who is upskilling, one who is moving forward. So one who is endeavoring for liberation from old age, death. Can anyone again claim that he's not a refugee? See, we get so sidetracked. We live in illusion. We easily get diverted. We get easily sidetracked. One news headline for a while, and then another news, then another news, then another news. So, can anyone claim that he's not a refugee in this world? Like in one of the Buddhist teachings, they say, like, what? We all are serving time. We all are serving time. So we know that one day our time will be up. But when? That is unknown. That is uncertainty. But that is certain, as sure as that, as they say. That is certain. What is uncertain is the timing of it. That is just uncertain. Otherwise, that is certain. So, something which is certain, we shouldn't try to make adjustments with it. We should be more friend with it. We should develop friendship with it. That is the sign of intelligent person. One who has not made an adjustment, a negotiation. No one can make a negotiation with that. Has anyone ever made a negotiation, managed to make a negotiation with that? No. Shall I share a small story on this making negotiation with that? Okay, so there's this person, a gentleman, a wise man, say. So he knew, okay, wow, that is certain. He learned this, he heard this, and he saw while everyone is dying, actually, I've seen my granddad pass away, and I've seen people all over the world die actually. So maybe one day I will also have to. So he thought, why not I do one thing? Let me become friends with death, with the Lord of Death, with the superintendent, one who gives that, one who picks us up, one who does, one who will come for my delivery, who will take me off. So let me build a friendship with him. Then I can be, when that comes, I could be more comfortable. It could work in my favor. So he got to know of the messenger of the Lord of Death, or he got to know of the Lord of Death, Yamraj. So he approached him, and then he strike a friendship with him. And he negotiated what? He dealt what? He said what? Well, Mr. Yamraj, could you do me a small favor now that we are friends as well? We go well together. Hmm? You kindly do me a small favor. Will you? Yamraj asked, okay, go on, tell me what favor you like. Just before when you come to collect me, or when my time is up, could you just send me a little notice in advance? A notice in little advance so that I am well prepared. Hmm? Yamraj says, yeah, definitely. Why not? I would do that. Yes, I agree. We are friends. We are friends, and as a friend, I will send you notice in advance so that you can prepare yourself. Okay, so this gentleman was so happy. Yeah, wow, easy, good deal I got. And then, because I could not bypass that, okay, I might as well get some notice so that I can prepare myself for it, be ready for it. So that person, after getting this deal signed off from Yamraj, he then lived life to the full. He was just like, wow, I'm free now. I don't have a worry. I don't have a fear. I know I can make my plans and all everything. Why? Because he will send me a notice. Until I get the notice, I am free. I can act the way I like, and I don't have to worry because I know when my tomorrow is coming, when will be my last tomorrow, when my time is up. Say. So like that, he went on having a gala time, having a very enjoyable time. And he wasn't much focusing on spirituality actually. He wasn't much focusing on spirituality. So time came about and he had to leave his body then. Mm, He had to see the face of that. Time came, his time was up. So then after he left his body, he got darshan of Yamraj. And he spoke with Yamraj. He said, I want to actually speak with my friend Yamraj. Or he said, I want to speak with Yamraj. He's no more my friend. And when he saw Yamraj, he said, you're no more my friend. What sort of friendship did you do? I trusted you. I thought you were genuine. Hmm? And you told that we had this deal, and you said you acknowledged that you will send me notices. Now, where's your notice? Well, Yamraj said, well, I sent you more than one notice, didn't I? Tell me, when did you send me a notice? So Yamraj said, remember when you had a toothache? I sent you the notice. That was the notice. You're getting toothache. Then you're having backache. Was that not a notice for you that your body is frailing, body is going down? No? Then later on I gave you old age. That was the notice. That look, uh, skin is getting rough now. Hmm? Then I gave you notice in this form or notice in that form. That uh, old age, disease, other ways to be make you more aware. What else would you want? Huh? Did you want me to come personally in gross form and tell you, okay, sir, drop your WhatsApp message? that be careful, we'll come to pick you up tomorrow, have to be ready. So the person, oh, yeah, actually true. I had toothache and I was like saying to myself, oh gosh, I'm going to die now. I had this thing, oh gosh, I'm dying and like that. But I did not pay any heed to those notices. And I went on with my life the way I like. So this is the story with us only. We all are getting notice. So look, is it not irony? Everyone is doing their part very nicely. Yamraj, Lord Brahma, Indradev, all the demigods, they are doing their duty very nicely. And even animals and plants, they are behaving perfectly in the line with their nature. It is only us human species, which is little bit or way more out of track. And this is why they say human life is a life of responsibility. And with responsibility comes what? Accountability as well. It is a life of responsibility, it is a life of accountability. So we better live properly. We better live in line with scriptures and for our own good, for our own betterment. So Lord of Death, Yamraj, was sending these notices. He did send. He is sending to us. How much do I oblige? How much do I pay heed to those notices? Is the thing. But then everyone is getting notices. No one can say that, okay, I didn't get any notice. No, we all are. So we cannot make adjustments with that. That is for sure. So if we cannot make adjustment with that, we cannot sign a negotiation and deal with that, then let us be friends with that. Let us become friends. Another question I ask, what do you think? What will be the mindset, the behavior, and the action for a materialist and for a spiritualist? If someone gets a notice from a doctor that you have this tumor, this cancer, and it's like six stage, seven stage, maybe say six stage of cancer you have got, and this heavy tumor, and how much time have you got? You have got 3 months left with you. So getting this clear indication, and that person is like, his health was deteriorating, and he gets to know, okay, I've got s- uh, 3 months, 6 months with me, 6 months or 3 months say with me. What would he do? Like, what would he do? What would a materialist do? What would a spiritualist do? What would a person in general do? Have I confused you with the question, or is the question okay? Or should I repeat the question? If a person gets to know from his doctor for sure that he has got 6 months to live, hearing this news, what will he do? In those 6 months, will he pick up a fight with someone? Will he pick up an argument? Will he still do some fraud with someone? Cheat someone? Any thoughts? Okay, maybe why not? Like, can one can do anything, right? There are all sorts of people in this world. Generally, someone who is not a spiritual practitioner wouldn't, or generally a spiritual practitioner is supposed to be not picking up fights with someone, to be not picking up, doing fraud with someone. He's supposed to be calm, patient, peaceful. And if a spiritual practitioner gets to know that he's got 6 months only to live, he would want to enhance his practice. He would want to go more deep in his practice, be more absorbed, be more Krishna conscious, be more attached to Krishna. Mm. And he would actually welcome it. He would actually welcome it. Oh wow, yes, finally I had been getting notices, and this is my last call. This is the last final proper notice to me. So I've got nothing to now. I don't need to expand business. I don't need to expand this or that house and all. don't need to expand my material existence, and I have a golden opportunity now. With my frail health, whatever, how much Krishna conscious can I revive now? Likewise, for a sadhaka is always aware of that. He can never ignore that. An intelligent person, he will never sidetrack that. Uh, he realizes that he's in a journey. A sadhaka should realize that I am in a journey. And once we are in a journey, surely lots of uncertainties will come, ups and downs and all, but we can never lose focus of our destination. One should never lose focus of his destination. And Krishna consciousness is all to uh, consolidate our destination. Destination is Vaikuntha. That is what we aspire to attain. Krishna's association, Krishna's engagement in for eternity in Krishna's pastimes in the spiritual realm. That joy, that pastime, that mood we are hankering for. So a sadhaka in his journey of life, he can never afford to let go, belittle, or get sidetracked of that destination. In between, there will in any journey there are ups and downs. There will be ups and downs. So if he would want to tolerate them peacefully, and he knows, yes, I have also got a notice. I've got a notice. How much life is left? Another 40 years, another 50, 60 years. So let me just a small period, short period of time, 50, 60, whatever is left. We don't know how much is left. Could be another 5 years, could be another 1 year. But whatever time is left, let me strive, let me march on, march forward. Okay, any thoughts, questions, or comments? Okay, let's read next then. So, Neha, if you're okay, read the translation in purport. Sadi Sadibhutadidevam na mam Sadiyajnam cha ye vidu prayana kale api cha mam te vidur yukta chetasa.
Those in full consciousness of me, who knows me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of the material manifestation of the demigod and all methods of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. Purport. Persons acting in Krishna consciousness can never deviate from the path of entirely understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the transcendental association of Krishna consciousness, one can understand how the Supreme Lord is the governing principle of the material manifestation and even of the demigod. Gradually, by such transcendental association, one becomes convinced of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and at the time of death, such a Krishna conscious person can never forget Krishna. Naturally, he is thus promoted to the planet of Supreme Lord, Goloka Vrindavana. This seventh chapter particularly explains how one can become a fully Krishna conscious person. The beginning of Krishna consciousness is association of person who are Krishna conscious. Such association is spiritual and put one directly in touch with the Supreme Lord. And by His grace, one can understand Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the same time, one can really understand the constitutional position of the living entity and how the living entity forgets Krishna and become entangled in material activity. By gradual development of Krishna consciousness and good association, The living entity can understand that due to forgetfulness of Krishna, he has become conditioned by the law of material nature. He can also understand that his human form of life is an opportunity to regain Krishna consciousness and that it should be fully utilized to attain the causeless mercy of Supreme Lord. Many subjects have been discussed in this chapter: the man in distress, the inquisitive man, the man in want of material necessities, knowledge of Brahmana, knowledge of Paramatma, liberation from birth, death, and disease, and worship of the Supreme Lord. However, he who is actually elevated in Krishna consciousness does not care for the different processes. He simply directly engages himself in activities of Krishna consciousness and thereby factually attain his constitutional position as an eternal servitor of Lord Krishna. In such a situation, he takes pleasure in hearing and glorifying the Supreme Lord in pure devotional service. He is convinced that by his doing so, all his objectives will be fulfilled. This determined faith is called Dada Vrata and it is the beginning of
Drita Vrata.
Bhakti Yoga or transcendental loving service. That is the verdict of all scriptures. This seventh chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is the substance of that conviction. Thus end the Bhakti Vedanta purports to the seventh chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of knowledge of the Absolute.
Translation पढ़ेंगे.
Those in full consciousness of me, who knows me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of the material manifestation of the demigods and of all method of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death.
Such a big blessing. Such a kindness Krishna is bestowing. Look, he's so open-hearted. He's so gentle, kind, caring, loving, that even at the time of death, what does it say in the translation? So, can understand me and know me even at the time of death. So, this is why we say that we will never come across one single person who can come up with a reason that for such and such a reason I cannot practice Krishna consciousness. But we will come across one single person, any single person can give hundreds and thousands of excuses not to practice Krishna consciousness, or hundreds and thousands of misconceptions around the practice of Krishna consciousness. But here Krishna is so kind that even at the time of death, and see, if we, what should be our mood like? If we know some person, say our neighbor, who had been throughout his life, who had been very much into sense gratification, but towards the fag end of his life, towards the last leg, really last breaths, moments, minutes of his life, somehow or other he becomes Krishna conscious, somehow or other. Say, being your neighbor, he gets to hear holy name, he gets to say that particular day you visited him with some prasadam and you had some Krishna conscious discussion with him, some introduction, and he became slightly Krishna conscious, more favorable, slightly more favorable and all. And you knew throughout the life that he had been very much into sense gratification. But even at the last, if he becomes Krishna consciousness, will it not give us joy? Someone who has not been practicing, but if we get to know, wow, finally, how did he leave? How did he leave his body? How did he pass away? What was the time? How was the situation or the moment came about unfolding? And if we realize, oh wow, he had such a nice interaction with devotee and some Krishna consciousness ignited, that will give us so much of joy. A sadhaka practitioner hearing this doesn't matter. This is why past is like in this life itself. Throughout, one may not have practiced, but even at the time of death, one can become Krishna conscious. And such an offer we do not get in society. Like, oh, even at the last minute you can fill this form. We don't get like even at the last you can minute you can take university education and all. It's everything is very no. There's a strict time slot by and large. But Krishna consciousness, the benefits, the gifts, even if someone is in advanced stage in bodily age and has not perfected, not practiced Krishna consciousness throughout his life and was like very much into self obsession, into sense enjoyment. But somehow or other, if he comes right at his last day, and he can, from there, he can make a complete um, perfection of his Krishna consciousness. So this is very encouraging, and we should not use this as a definitely as a license or as a uh, any smart. If we try to act, we are going to be becoming baffled. That is for sure. In many places in Bhagavad Gita, we just read, right? Intelligent person. In Bhagavatam, so many places we say here, intelligent person, intelligent. So what is Krishna expecting from us? To be a bit intelligent. Surely Krishna doesn't want us to be stupid, dull, or careless, or uh, yeah, careless in spiritual practice, spiritual understanding. So uh, Krishna doesn't want us to be dull, stupid like that, and neither does he want us to be any extra smart, any extra intelligent. Too much intelligence is not a good sign. No, when someone says, "Oh, he's too intelligent," sometimes that has a negative connotation. It has a it is not a good remark. It is not a like someone is praising someone. No, it's not a good appreciation. Oh, he's too intelligent. Too intelligent means like he just what is natural, what is normal, what is correct to do, proper to do. He wouldn't do that. He's too intelligent. He's too above the proper thing. He considers himself to be too smart. Krishna doesn't want us to be any too smart. We cannot afford. We are being currently too smart, and this is why Krishna is away from us because he's such a gentle, simple person. Simplicity is what Krishna loves. Simplicity, and I am anything but simple. This is why devotee association is required. The japa and everything to help me become simple. And then there can be a direct union. There can be a union and meeting. So the message is very sublime, even at the time of death. But that doesn't mean we have to wait for that time. We have to practice it now itself. And we can see the joy, the beauty in practicing Krishna consciousness. Nothing we would lose. It is just a play of the mind to tell us, oh, if you become devotee just now, just this year, see, you will miss that concert. You will miss that freedom. You will miss that buying that dress. You will miss going to that pub, that shopping. You will miss eating these street food, roadside food, all these things. Huh? But when we actually practice Krishna consciousness, we'll find such a higher taste that one sincere practitioner wouldn't find any interest then in enjoying matter. Okay, any thoughts, questions, or comments? So, Krishna conscious practitioner would should understand that life is meant to what? To glorify that. Life is meant to honor that, to really bless that, mm, to really honor that, bless that, glorify that. So we can never lose focus of that, as sure as that. We can never lose focus of our destination. Okay, let's read next. We can start chapter 8. So let's see chapter 8. Look at the names of these chapters. Such high level now. Attaining the Supreme, chapter 8. Arjuna Uvacha. Kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama adhibhutam cha kim proktam adidevam kim uchyate. EV read translation and purport as well.
Translation. Arjuna inquired, O my lord, O supreme person, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me. Purport. In this chapter, Lord Krishna answers different questions from Arjuna, beginning with, what is Brahman? The Lord also explains karma, fruitive activities, devotional service, and yoga principles, and devotional service in its pure form. The Srimad Bhagavatam explains that the supreme absolute truth is known as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. In addition, the living entity, the individual soul, is also called Brahman. Arjuna also inquires about Atma, which refers to body, soul, and mind. According to the Vedic dictionary, Atma refers to the mind, soul, body, and senses also. Arjuna has addressed the Supreme Lord as Purushottama, Supreme Person, which means that he was putting these questions not simply to a friend, but to the Supreme Person, knowing him to be the supreme authority, able to give definitive answers. Translation. Arjuna inquired, O my lord, O supreme person, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me.
Nice questions, isn't it? What is Brahman? What is the self? What are fruitive activities? What does it mean? And what is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Kim karma purushottama. See, Arjuna calls Krishna Purushottama. Karma, na, fruitive activities. If we see karma, fruitive activities, Purushottama, oh supreme person. So, see, like beautiful purport, Krishna, Arjuna has addressed the Supreme Lord as Purushottama, which means he was putting these questions not simply to a friend, but to the Supreme Person, knowing him to be the supreme order authority, able to give definite answers. And sometimes we see even in devotee, we see like in devotee community, uh, we need to see whom to approach for, say, guidance, some thought sharing and all. Uh, uh, so whom to approach, that's quite important. And like in the initial beginning stage of devotional service, yes, we are still learning and all, so we don't know who to fall back upon, who to go to, who could may go to person. And it could be that, okay, say imagine this thing, someone practicing for 6 months and he approaches someone who is practicing for 3 months. Oh, can you help me with this? Can you guide me here? Can you guide me there? Sort of thing. Or like once Alokshuja Prabhu was mentioning when he was giving class in the temple. So he's been practicing for 40 years. He's a Sankirtan leader, Sankirtan devotee, amazing book distributor. And he mentioned when he joined newly and kind of his humility from day one, he was very good in distributing books. But when he joined some initial days, months maybe, I don't remember exact where in Manchester or perhaps somewhere he was distributing books. He was trying to distribute book. He went out, but he was struggling. And uh, hour, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour passed. He was struggling. Nothing was happening. He was not able to stop people, have some good conversations, see books going and all. And everyone was like very heavy. So what did he do? He rang. He called up his mom, which is fine, which is good. But he was speaking with his mom, and he was like spiritual questions, spiritual subject matter or something. And how can I actually share Krishna consciousness? And her mom was not in a position to reply or understand. Her mom was not in a position to understand. So likewise, we need to understand whom do we actually approach. And here, Arjuna, he's approaching Krishna. He's approaching Krishna. This is why japa doesn't need any argument as such. Japa doesn't need any logic as such. Just chant and listen. Just chant and listen attentively. Everything will become revealed then through good japa. All knowledge, all de- detachment, all determination, all confidence, enthusiasm, patience, clarity, right and wrong, everything will come about. Motivation, inspiration, peace, love, once we do japa sincerely. So chanting on beads and then everything would come about, and there's no uh, there's no logic required, there's no argument required. So these are the questions, some questions of Arjuna, and he's asking Krishna. Uh, so let's see what Krishna responds. Huh? Yeah, if you can read translation purport again. Abhigya katham kokatra dehasmin madhusudana prayana kale cha katham geyosi nityatma bhi. So Arjuna is still continuing. Yeah, please read translation purport if you can. Okay, Evie, would you be okay to read? We like listening from you, Evie.
Translation. Who is the Lord of sacrifice, and how does he live in the body, O Madhusudana? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? Purport. Lord of sacrifice may refer to either Indra or Vishnu. Vishnu is the chief of the primal demigods, including Brahma and Shiva, and Indra is the chief of the administrative demigods. Both Indra and Vishnu are worshipped by yajna performances. But here Arjuna asks who is actually the Lord of yajna sacrifice, and how the Lord is residing within the body of the living entity. Arjuna addresses the Lord as Madhusudana because Krishna once killed a demon named Madhu. Actually, these questions, which are of the nature of doubts, should not have arisen in the mind of Arjuna because Arjuna is a Krishna conscious devotee. Therefore, these doubts are like demons. Since Krishna is so expert in killing demons, Arjuna here addresses him as Madhusudana, so that Krishna might kill the demonic doubts that arise in Arjuna's mind. Now, the word prayana kale in this verse is very significant because whatever we do in life will be tested at the time of death. Arjuna is very anxious to know those who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness. What should be their position at that final moment? At the time of death, all the bodily functions are disrupted and the mind is not in a proper condition, thus disturbed by the bodily situation. One may not be able to remember the Supreme Lord. Maharaja Kulashekara, a great devotee, prays, "My dear Lord, just now I am quite healthy, and it is better that I die immediately, so that the swan of my mind can seek entrance at the stem of your lotus feet." The metaphor is used because the swan, a bird of the water, takes pleasure in digging into the lotus flowers. Its sporting proclivity is to enter the lotus flower. Maharaj Kulashekara says to the Lord, "Now my mind is undisturbed and I am quite healthy. If I die immediately, thinking of your lotus feet, then I am sure that my performance of your devotional service will become perfect. But if I have to wait for my natural death, then I do not know what will. Happen, because at that time the bodily functions will be disrupted, my throat will be choked up, and I do not know whether I shall be able to chant your name. Better let me die immediately." Arjuna questions how a person can fix his mind on Krishna's lotus feet at such a time. Translation: Who is the Lord of sacrifice, and how does he live in the body, O Madhusudana? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death?
Couple of questions. Can you think of any question which is not addressed in Bhagavad Gita? Not of a question that how do I solve this mathematical equation? No. How do I get a discount here? How do I book my train ticket? Uh, not that, not that level. Even that is covered through intelligence, through that knowledge. But any life, you see, life skill, life oriented question, if Arjuna did not address, if Arjuna did not ask, one may say, right, well, I'm practicing Krishna consciousness in this year 2022. Okay, now how relevant the book is, huh? How relevant, how genuine, how is it outdated now? Is it still, has it got its appeal? So think of a question, any question which you think, okay, that's a life question, life skill question, and which Arjuna did not ask, or which Krishna did not ask, or which was not brought up in this study of Bhagavad Gita. And we see this practical, real, relatable in 2022. Hmm? I mean, by 2020, in this modern, this year, next year, previous year, no such, I don't think so. I struggle to come up with any question which has not been dealt in Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita can resolve any of our, I mean, resolve any of our doubts, as in it can provide us real knowledge. Now it is up to us how we take knowledge. Who are we still carrying doubts with us, or do we take shelter of that real knowledge? So, in my little understanding, I do not think that any question, any subject, any topic Any life aspect has been missed out in this dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. And it's very plain, it's very clear, there's no need for interpretation. There's no room scope as well, there's no requirement for any interpretation. It is very clear. Well, the message is very clear, right? In two shlokas itself, again, 18th chapter, Sarva Dharman Parityaja and Man Mana Bhav Mat Bhakto, na? That's the message, that become Krishna's devotee and love and serve Krishna unconditionally. Yeah, surrender fully unto Krishna and love and serve him unconditionally. Arjuna did not want to fight, Krishna wanted him to fight. Arjuna was a warrior, Krishna made him a spiritual warrior. Krishna desired, Arjuna acted to fulfill Krishna's desire. Arjuna, that's expression of love. Krishna wanted this war to happen, Arjuna gathered, yes, this is Krishna's desire. So let me act, let me become an instrument and act, help Krishna fulfill Krishna's desire, let me play my role. That is the message of Bhagavad Gita. How can we understand the heart of Krishna and play our role to please Krishna, to love, serve Krishna? Everyone has got desires. So God also being a sentient being, rational, emotional, spiritual person, Krishna also has desire. With desires, there's expectations as well. Can there be desires without expectation? So Krishna also has desires and expectations from us. And going through Bhagavad Gita, we can see what the desire is. What does Krishna desire from me? And if I try to live by Krishna's desire, I will find much peace in life, much hope, much love, much care, much comfort in life. So the whole practice of Krishna consciousness is to transform ourselves from self-obsession to Krishna obsession. And that is the center, that is the most important thing, that is real. So Vaishnavas, they live to die or they die to live. They die to live. They don't live to die. They just don't live, okay, so that I die one day. No. They die, they give up the body to live eternally. To live eternally. And what to speak of giving up the body. Even in this body, while they are presently residing in the body, they can fully surcharge their consciousness so that in this body they find their eternal engagement and they are in tune with their eternal engagement in loving service with Krishna, in loving service for Krishna. So these are some of the questions, and I don't think so. Again, think if you can come up, if there is any question which has not been discussed, touched upon in Krishna consciousness, social front, any life oriented question. So if every question, answer for every life question is there in Bhagavad Gita, should it not be read? Should it not be compulsory to be read? Should it not be my first priority? Should it not be my ultimate prerogative to read Bhagavad Gita? Should it not be an indispensable duty for me? How much harshness would I be doing on myself by not reading Bhagavad Gita, by not giving good attention to this dialogue, sublime dialogue? Okay, any thoughts, questions, or comment? Maybe let's read one or two more, because now we are going into chapter 8, entering chapter 8, attaining the supreme. And every chapter is such wonderful discussion. So, Neha, if you are available now, then read text 3 translation purport. Shri Bhagwan Vacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Swabhavodhya Adhyatmam Uchyate Bhuta Bhavo Bhutabhavodabha Bhutabhavodbhava Karo Visarga Karma Samgit यहाँ पढ़ पाओगे क्या?
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, the self. Action pertaining to the development of the material bodies of the living entity is called karma or fruitive activities. Purport. Brahman is indestructible and eternally existing, and his contribution is not changed at any time. But beyond Brahman, there is Para Brahman. Brahman referred to the living entity, and Para Brahman referred to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The constitutional position of the living entity is different from the position he takes in the material. Sorry. Different from the position he takes in the material world. In material consciousness, his nature is to try to be the lord of matter. But in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness, his position is severe. His position is to serve the Supreme. When the living entity is in material consciousness, he has to take on various bodies in material world. This is called karma, or varied creation by the force of material consciousness. In Vedic literature, the living entity is called Vatma, Jivatma, and Brahman, but he is never called Para Brahman. The living entity, Jivatma, takes different positions. Sometimes he merges
वैसे
into
ये
the
ब्राह्मण वो ब्राह्मण नहीं जो हम समझते हैं ब्रह्मांड है ना ब्रह्मांड मीन्स स्पिरिट ओके कंटिन्यू
the living entity, Jivatma, takes different positions. Sometimes he merges into the dark material nature and identifies himself with matter, and sometimes he identifies himself with the superior spiritual nature. Therefore, he is called the Supreme Lord's marginal energy. According to his identification with material or spiritual nature, he receives a material or spiritual body. In material nature, he may take a body from any of the 8 lakh or 84 lakhs, the 84 lakh species of the life, but in spiritual nature, he has only one body. In material nature, he is manifested
वाओ ये
sometimes
पढ़िए
as
फिर से पढ़िए इसको इन मटेरियल नेचर ही में टेक क्या
in material
प्रभुपाद के
nature,
परपट गजब के हैं भाई पढ़िए
he may take a body from any of the 84 lakh species of life, but in spiritual nature, he has only one body.
वाओ
In material nature, he is manifested sometimes as a man, demigod, animal, beast, bird, etc. according to his karma. To attain material, heavenly planet and enjoy their facilities, he sometimes performs sacrifices, but when his merit is exhausted, he returns to earth again in the form of man. This is called karma.
ये बट से फिर पढ़िए बट व्हेन इज मैरिड
But when his merit is exhausted, he returns to earth again in the form of a man. This process is called karma. The Chandogya Upanishad describes the Vedic sacrificial process. On the sacrificial altar, 5 kind of offerings are made into 5 kind of fire. The 5 kind of fire are conceived as of a heavenly planet, clouds, the earth, man and women. And 5 kind of sacrifices offerings are the faith, the enjoyer on the moon, rain, grains and semen. Water. वाटर पियोगी? नहीं खाना है, मत खा। जो ये रोटी खा लो। सॉरी भैया, इसकी तबीयत थोड़ी ठीक नहीं है। In the process of sacrifice, the living entity makes specific sacrifices to attain specific heavenly planets and consequently reaches them. When the merit of sacrifice is exhausted, the living entity descends to the earth in the form of rain, then takes on the form of grain, and the grains are eaten by man and transferred into semen, which impregnates a woman, and thus the living entity once again attains the human form to perform sacrifices and so repeat the same cycle. In this way, the living entity perpetually comes and goes on the material path. The Krishna consciousness person, however, avoids such sacrifices. He takes directly to Krishna consciousness and thereby prepare himself to return to Godhead.
पढ़ पाओगे क्या
Him,
नया?
अब भैया इसको तो देखना भी होगा.
If you can continue. Otherwise, maybe we or myself or can read or someone.
Okay. In
ठीक
personalist
है, पर continue okay. Yeah.
commentators on the Bhagavad Gita unreasonably assume that Brahman takes the form of Jiva in the material world and to sub, sub, what is this?
Substantiate.
Substantiate this, they refer to chapter 15, verse 7 of the Gita. But in this verse, the Lord also speaks of living entity as an eternal fragment of myself, the fragment of God. The living entity may fall down into the material world, but the Supreme Lord never falls down. Therefore, this assumption that the Supreme Brahman assumes the form of Jiva is not acceptable. It is important to remember that in Vedic literature, Brahman, the living entity, is distinguished from Para Brahman, the Supreme Lord.
Thank you, Neha. Harsha, you read translation.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, the Self. Action pertaining to the development of the material bodies of the living entities is called karma, or fruitive activities.
Yeah. Very nice. I find this purport very nice. So knowledge giving na purport. The questions are so good, and look at Krishna's response. For Bhagavad Gita is maximum knowledge in minimum words. Sometimes people in society, right? And I mean, sometimes, like many times, a question is asked in school, college, uni, open forum session, and a debate discussion, and the person, he would beat about the bush. He wouldn't really give the real answer. Perhaps he himself doesn't know, and maybe a long-winded answer. Or we are asking him what is the price of orange, and he would be telling us the price of shoes. Ask him something, and the answer is something very different altogether. But here, nothing like this. Nothing like, and Krishna isn't anywhere giving any long-winded answer. Perhaps, maybe, no. Krishna is not using. We don't see in purport translation. Maybe, perhaps, I think, in my opinion, in my understanding. No, no, no. It's a science proper. Krishna is telling things as they are, as it is. And if we take it as it is, we'll find sublimity in our life. Nothing less than peace, pure love, pure joy, pure knowledge, pure shelter, pure security. Nothing less than this. So fascinating questions Arjuna is asking, fascinating reply, prompt, clear as it is reply, and every purport is amazing. Some of the things what Prabhupada mentions in this purport, wow, so beautiful. Like in materials, nature rewards us a body in what 8.4 million species of life. But spiritual nature, there is no change of body. There is no change of body. And that body is so spiritually surcharged, full of joy, bliss, and love, knowledge, security, everlasting. And it's not like, okay, well, one may think like, oh no, I would like to be in a woman's body as well, men's body as well. I would like to see myself grow and all. But we are so much in pain. And in spiritual body, there's no concept of pain. There's no concept of misery. If at all, that pain is also spiritual pain, which is joy giving. Because spiritual life, Krishna consciousness means Krishna centered, Krishna obsession, Krishna attachment. There's no scope for self obsession independent of Krishna. And material life means various degrees of self obsession. That's it. Various degrees of self obsession. And the highest self obsession is to replace Krishna and become God, become Krishna, to take the position of Krishna, to think that I have become God or I am God. Okay, any thoughts, question, or comment? Maybe tomorrow we can try discussing a bit more on this purport and further slokas. But for now, any thoughts, questions, or comment? Okay, then thank you very much for your patient listening and kind encouragement. Continue showering your blessings. Hare Krishna.